we're reviewing HBO's newest show, Lovecraft Country. Season 1, Episode 1 of Lovecraft Country has premiered, which I'm really excited about, and has got my wife to watch it, who knows nothing about the show. Man, she in for a surprise. Season 1, Episode 1 is called Sundown. I'll get to the relevance of the title later in this review. We're introduced to the characters Atticus Freeman, aka Tick, returning home from the US Army, a Korean War vet returning home to Chicago. The irony of him fighting for freedom he don't have in Jim Crow America. The audience quickly see the Jim Crow racism played out on the bus ride on his way back home. He and an older woman sits in the back of the bus. Their fellow white travelers sit up front. When the bus breaks down, the whites get ferried off to the next town, but Atticus and the woman have to walk the rest of the way.
Man, you knew that man wasn't gonna give them a ride. We are introduced to Uncle George Freeman and his wife, Aunt Hippolyta Freeman. Uncle George Freeman, well-read and a business owner and publisher of the Safe Negro Travel Guide, George frequently makes risky trips to compile a list of places and services that are friendly to Black people. Though this mission has led him to some physical harm, he continues to explore and expand his entries. The Safe Negro Travel Guide is a vital and potentially life-saving resource, and it's based on a real guidebook known as the Negro Traveler's Green Book, or just Green Book. It was an annual guidebook published from 1936 to 1966 by New York City mailman Victor Hugo Green for Black travelers to help Black folks navigate the racism of the era when traveling by car.
I could go make the trip instead of you.
We are introduced to Hippolyta Freeman, writer for the travel guide, who admits in this episode that she wants to go out on the road herself.
Introduced to Journey Smollett as Letitia, or Letty. I know what you're thinking, another Smollett. Letty is also returning back in town. She's a free spirit and very up-to-date on the latest fashion. Letty is reunited with her older sister at a block party, and their sibling rivalry plays out on stage when Letty, also known as Letitia, gate crashes Ruby's performance on stage of a whole lot of shaking going on. The thing is that Letty is a much lighter skinned girl than her sister and brother, who we see later. Skin, hair, and eye coloring can vary among siblings in Black families.
So you're saying there's some hidden bloodline that's an intentional hint.
Atticus discovers a mysterious letter from his missing father, Montrose, inviting him to discover his family legacy in the Massachusetts town Ardham. The past is a living thing, the letter says, stating that Atticus has a secret legacy, a birthright that's been kept from you. Atticus is also worried that his father seems to reference Arkham, a fictional Massachusetts town that shows up in stories by science fiction horror author H.P. Lovecraft, an author Montrose dislikes, thanks to Lovecraft's blatant racism.
George, Letty, and Atticus goes on a road trip to find the missing father and uncle. The story takes us into the heart of a divided and segregated America. A brilliant moment of storytelling is the use of James Baldwin's debate with segregationist William F. Buckley.
The Mississippi or the Alabama sheriff, who really does believe when he's facing a Negro boy or girl that this woman, this man, this child must be insane to attack the system to which he owes his entire identity.
The genius of the montage lies in what is not said. For example, a pit stop for ice cream focuses not on the main character, but rather on a Black father and his children trying not to look too visibly impatient as they wait to be served while the white waitress are engrossed in conversation. When the trio stops for a bathroom break, we see them exiting through the colored entrance. Just another example of some of the indignities experienced at the time by black folks. As they drive off into the night, they pass by signs with a warning about sundown tongues in the area. One of the most tense moments is when they stop for a meal at a diner that was once a safe spot on George's guide. The audience get the feeling something is not right as you watch them try to deny that feeling themselves on screen. It dawns on him. There was an involuntary ownership change. The previous black owners were run out of tongue or possibly worse, and the business was burnt to the ground. As they rush out of the diner, Letty jumps behind the wheel of the car. There is a car chase with the local racists in hot pursuit shooting at them. During the car chase, it also gives Atticus an opportunity to see a sleek silver car, the same one mentioned to him before by the bar owner, where his missing father hangs out. The silver car, which will no doubt show up again, which has some significance to the story, pulls out of nowhere and inserts itself between their car and the local racists chasing them. With guns blazing, the local racist car crashed into the silver sedan, ending the chase. At that moment, as they drive off, we also catch a glimpse of the driver of the car who gets out and watch them drive off. The trio continues on their quest to finding Atticus's father. Next, they come into contact with a sheriff of a sundown town.
Any of you all know what a sundown town is?
Decades, few words instilled as much fear in black motorists as Sundown County. That required African Americans to leave the area by sundown or expect a punishment as serious as death.
The sheriff allowed them to turn around after humiliating them. He demanded that they ask nicely and for the opportunity to leave before sundown. On the race against the sun to the county line, the trio must contend with not only the ticking seconds, but their quickness as well. If they drive over 25 miles per hour, they'll be breaking the speed limit, which gives the sheriff another reason to arrest them. They comply with seconds to spare, but Hunt deputies force them into a roadblock. Hunt and his deputies force them into the woods. Oh yeah, that's where it really hits the fan.
Lord, I was scared out of for my life. I was sitting there on the edge of my seat like, oh my God!
About 2 seconds before something attacks the sheriff, shearing off one of his arms cleanly.
Damn, that was intense!
They're attacked by these mysterious, scary-ass creatures.
Oh yeah.
Atticus and Letty run for their life.
But they found shelter with the super racist sheriff. Atticus, Letty, George, an injured Hunt, and his sole remaining deputy take refuge inside an abandoned cabin.
George theorized that the creatures did not attack him because they were afraid of the flashlight he was holding.
Forces Letty, a former track star, to leave and grab their car. Letty narrowly avoids being killed and retrieves the car, while Hunt, who's been bitten by these mysterious creatures, transforms into one of them and kills his deputy! Before he can harm George and Atticus, Letty rams the car into him. Creatures who are called off by a mysterious whistle. They survive the night, then wander out of the woods into Ardham, where they stumble across a mansion with a silver sedan in the driveway. A blonde man with blue eyes opens the door, calling Atticus by his name.
We've been expecting you, Mr. Freeman.